Bernstein again. Big opening. Pass 5. Pass 10. Perko's a man. And he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards out the terror.
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Ridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined as always by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
We're good, man. You know, it's a weekend without Badger football is it's a slow weekend. You know, like what do you watch? You go through the Big Ten, you watch Michigan, USC. It doesn't feel right. The Jets played Thursday. I watched my fantasy get embarrassed. So, like, outside of that, I'm happy it's a Monday morning where we're looking forward to a game week.
Bernie, I was in the same boat as you. I also kind of needed a reset after the Alabama game. I'm not going to lie. I got a ton of sleep. Bills play tonight on Monday Night Football as we record Monday morning. Fullback. We're going to talk about the upcoming game this week as there's no game to recap. But before we get into it, going to pay a couple bills and remind everyone tuning in that we are presented by BetOnline.ag. Continue to be presented by them, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker. Unwind with over 150 slot games and more. Head on over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Bernie, do you think it's a 14-point spread for the Badgers at USC? Do you think that's a fair line given the fact that neither of us gamble?
Sure, a fair line. It could be 21. It could be 20. I don't even know. What I do think is that the Vegas people, the statistical Vegas people, or maybe now it's ChatGPT, are so freaking smart that one team will win by 13 or 15. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's genius. Do I think 14? I mean, USC doesn't look bad. They look really good.
No, even in a loss, I don't think they look bad at all.
I mean, they should have won.
Michigan defense, that is, I still think one of the stronger units in the nation, even if they lost a ton of talent off of last year's team, as well as obviously their head coach, their strength coach, and more. So I think I thought it would be closer to 17 points, frankly, considering how USC has looked so far this year. Either way, if you need or want to go ahead and put a little wager on either team, head on over to betonline.ag to do so. Also want to remind everyone that we continue to be presented by Chris Anicetti and his team over at Oak Ridge Wealth Management. If you are a current or future professional athlete or NCAA athlete with NIL deals, Chris is the man to get in touch with, and his team at Oak Ridge Wealth Management will put together a bespoke financial plan to help you do what you do best, which is perform on the field. They do one thing, and that is take care of athletes. They know what your demands are every single day, so they take care of your money for you. Get in touch with Chris on Instagram at OakBridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakBridgeWM_ANICETE, or go over to the website OakBridgeWealthMGMT.com. That's Chris Anicetti and Oak Bridge Wealth Management.
By the way, Chris Anicetti would be like, Bernie, I just heard what you said. You should never gamble with your money. That's what I love about him. He would tell me the truth.
He would.
Because I'm a horrible gambler. I would bet on the wrong. I'm more of a coin flip type of guy at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, I will say, though, so we did get these hats from Mellon. I was a little suspect at first, but I'm in on this one. My wife didn't like the red on me, but the white, she says she's in on. You know what? I like it. It feels like a good hat. We'll see. We're going to continue to do a little customer review, a little product review here for Mellon. But so far, I think we're off to a good start with the Mellon hat. I'm more of a dad cap kind of guy. I'm pretty basic, which I know doesn't sell in the hat game. So I might not be the best guy for it, but we'll see how it goes, Bert.
We're basic,
Well, I think that is okay. All right, let's get into Monday Morning Fullback, Bernie. So here's the scenario for you. We fly into Los Angeles. You've decided to come with the team. Phil Longo gets sick at the last minute, hands over play calling duties to you for the game. Bernie, what are you trying to do to get this offense in sync and going?
Man, come at me on a Monday with a great question. What am I trying to do? Run the football. I am trying to run the football. Michigan ran for 290 yards. They threw 12 times. I mean, if that, I mean, it's pretty. Dude, Orgy, their quarterback, at the end of the game said, our DNA is defense and running the football. That's Michigan's DNA for the past, 30, 50, 100 years?
I mean, not during the Rich Rod era, I don't think.
Okay, so outside of those, but he knows the DNA. They literally probably said, we are going to do this, and we're not going to deviate from running the football. And that's how we're going to win this game. We're going to out physical them and run the football. We need to do the same. Listen, I'm happy Michigan played USC, beat them up a lot. That makes me happy. We can definitely find seams. We have good guys too. I think our O-line, with what they did against Alabama, can take the next step forward to go play a USC line. I do think these guys are fast, physical, and they're going to make a lot of plays. But we just need to stick to the game plan. If it's me, we're running the football. Zone, power, zone, power. I don't know what the playbook is, but I would find, I would do two backs. I'd make it confusing. Maybe a jet sweep here or there, which I haven't really seen that much. I'm trying to make things run. I'm not trying to pass. And I'm going to put Braden Locke in whatever I think is the best position to have completions. Even if they're 1 or 2 yard completions, I'm okay with it. Let dudes work. Braden, you don't have to throw a 50-yard pass. Throw it to throw a bubble screen. Throw a 5-yard hitch. Let that guy, let our good guys rock with it. I would also say we got to spread it out. We got to make everyone on defense think it's coming their way.
Can you do both of that though? Can you do both of those things? I don't know if you can do both, truly spread it out and run it at the same time. Unless you're Tennessee, which I don't. And the reason they can do that is because their quarterbacks always have really big arms and can make those throws to the wide hash immediately with one step. Braden Locke doesn't have that kind of arm. I think if you're going to try to establish the run game, you might have to come out there with a lot of Riley Nowakowski. A lot of, like you said, Aker functioning as a fullback, I think is the only way that you're going to be able to have that run game that you talk about. I don't think that as good as the offensive line looked at against Alabama, which was a marked improvement from the first two games, I don't think that they are good enough to just run five-man run blocking against whatever front they're in and expect to get more than even 3 yards a carry, much less the 4.5 to 5.5 that you really need to sustain a running attack.
Well, I listen. I completely agree with you. A five-man, maybe not. First off, you can spread. I think you can spread the ball around. We did it. We had Lee Evans. We didn't throw. If we threw the ball 20 times in a game, he didn't get 20 throws. We had Brandon Williams. We had Darren Charles. We had tight ends who could catch. Owen Daniels. You just got to get 4 or 5 balls to each people. I do think I would love to see Riley Novakowski's hand in the dirt. Put a whole new. Now you're putting a smaller. First off, USC has smaller linebackers, fast dudes who are physical, but they're smaller. We can take advantage of that. Put a guy's hand in the dirt. Put Jackson Aker back there. Run a lead. Run something. Michigan did it all day, and eventually it broke. Look at 2 minutes left. They ran up the middle. The guy missed a tackle. USC missed a tackle that the dude ran for 50 yards down to the 5, and then they scored. They didn't do anything. They didn't try to come back. They were down 4. They were going to lose that game, and they didn't do anything different. Think about the chutzpah, the confidence in Michigan to say, we're down 4 points, and we're still going to just run the ball with 2 minutes and 16 seconds. I want us to be like that. I want the coaches to be like, we're just going to stay with the game, but we're not going to do too much. I would love to see more of a power game. You can do it out of the spread. I think we can do something like that. I would listen. I would take a step back and say, guys, it's Big Ten football. Off our conversation with Clint, Can Steck play? Can he play and can he be physical with dudes in there? Should we get him reps? Like, should he play? Should Grant play?
Stack the tight end?
Yeah. He looked like one of the more physical dudes out there. Can he be physical? Can he just run block 5 times?
Yeah.
Or 10 times?
Yeah.
I'm playing him. Like, I'm not holding back anymore. I want dudes who want to be out there. And that's what I'm putting out on the field. I'm putting out the most excited, fly around like your hair's on fire guys who want to play football for the Badgers. And if that's not the best guys on paper, I'm okay with that.
I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying. I feel like you are talking about sort of the emotional side of it, like the guys. And I feel like that's going to be needed to win a lot of these Big Ten games. And that starts weirdly on the road at USC in the LA Coliseum, which is not exactly a historic Big Ten site, Burn. But talking about that USC team last weekend, even in a loss, they should have won that game, first of all, against Michigan. And, I think that, Lincoln Riley's defense, even if it is remade with new coordinators, we have their old coordinator as our safeties coach now. I think that is, still not exactly a plus for that team. It's maybe gone from a negative to a neutral, but there are still ways to beat them, as you mentioned, to get just physical in the run game and beat them up that way. But Byrne, I'm also worried that if the Badgers don't get a pass rush on Miller Moss, he is going to continue to carve up defenses when he gets time. And it's so far, Wisconsin has not shown that they can get home to the quarterback.
And outside of a couple mistakes he made on, that pick that he threw, those things, if he cleans that stuff up, him and those wide receivers are good, man. They're athletic. They're tall. They make plays. They find openings. If we can't get to the quarterback, we are in big trouble. And we need to find unique ways to do that.
I think that Wisconsin really needs to find a unique way to deal with Zachariah Branch, because they have, even against Alabama, they have not seen a player as fast or as quick in small spaces as him, and someone who's a true weapon in the return game. I am worried for the Badgers defense if they are able to get Branch into space, that even our top defensive backs don't have the raw speed. I mean, no one has the raw speed to really keep up with him. So it's what can you do to contain that and, get him before he can really get started. That's one of the things that I am most concerned with this weekend.
I mean, we just have to confuse. We have to be confusing. I mean, that means changing up coverages, protecting guys deep, blitzing random guys. I mean, Michigan had a blitz. That's how they scored another touchdown. I mean, there were so many mistakes in this game. One of the last touchdowns, corner blitzed. Nobody came over to help him. Dude just ran free. I mean, we have to take advantage of those mistakes that happen on the field for whoever. But we have to be confusing out there. We have to. I think we just have to blitz and be able to get some shots on Moss early, and then just do the best we can. But I'm always nervous for our run stopping ability. If you have 2 D linemen, I mean, again, if I'm USC, I watched all this film. What am I going to do? I'm going to say, let's be more physical. Let's win in the trenches and let Wisconsin stop us. Every team has done that. Every team has challenged us in that way. I mean, even South Dakota challenged us in that way. They came out with 10 runs in a row, and then they eventually had 4 penalties and couldn't do anything. So if we can't stop the run, we are in trouble. But that is football in any league if you can't stop the run. But I feel like we really are having a trouble figuring that out and getting off the field on defense. If we're going to give USC opportunities, they're just eventually going to capitalize. That's what offenses do, right? You give them 3 more downs, three more downs. Eventually something happens and the defense makes a mistake, or they miss a tackle, or there's a missed coverage. Boom, it's a touchdown, or it's a field goal, and you can stack consistency. We have to do better.
Yeah, and that is concerning. Like, again, it goes back to what James said, like that first week, consistently inconsistent. And it's sort of been the theme for the season, for better and for worse. And so I guess overall, Bernie, what is sort of your outlook for this week? Like, even if, should the Badgers lose, I mean, they are a 2-touchdown underdog. Should the Badgers lose, what would give you hope for this week, if, for the future?
That's a good question. Physicality. We're talking about like building something, building an identity, building DNA, like Orgy, the quarterback. What's his first name? I feel like I say Orgy. It's a weird word.
Alex, I think.
Alex Orgy. I feel like that guy said, listen, to know that this is your DNA as a quarterback who threw 12 times, to say our DNA is defense and running the football, sounds just like Big Ten. It sounds like Wisconsin, previous Wisconsin.
It sounds like Barry Alvarez.
Sounds exactly like Barry. But I'm interested to see what, first off, competing against a team in a new environment on the West Coast, that's not going to be easy. I love that. I mean, I used to love that. The competition part should be easy, but I want to see dudes compete. But I think building something, whatever our identity is going to be, let's start building it. We had 3 games. We really haven't seen a direction in what we are. What's our bread and butter? Are we a lunchbox team? Are we a big play team? Like Barry was a lunchbox team. Let's run power 400 times in a row, and we'll see if we win at the end of the day. And that's it. And so I'm excited to see what the Badgers put out there and what they built. The O-line looked physical against number 4 Alabama. That brings me hope, right? The backs did not bring me hope. So I want to see them completely turn around and say, this will never happen again. We had a horrible week in this room. We're never going to do that again. No more turnovers. No more bad reads, no more bad cuts, all the things. We're going to take a chip on our shoulder and say, we're never doing that stuff again. I think we got to get Braden Locke in the game early. And that to me means rolling him out, getting him comfortable, and not running him with the football.
Rolling him out to me is going to be key, because my long-standing frustration with his play has been that so many of his passes get batted down at the line of scrimmage.
What do you have, 6 last week?
Yeah. Well, how do you prevent that from happening?
Get away from the big guys.
Ding, ding, ding. So in order to do that, there's a couple different ways to do it, right? You can have really quick throws, right? You mentioned 5-yard hitches, things like that, quick slants, that kind of good stuff. And you get him rolling out of the pocket so he's away from the trees. And I think that those 2 things are going to be essential. Now, that the inverse of that will be our continued frustration with the lack of downfield attempts, right? Because it has to be a give and take with that. So in doing so, I feel like you have to spread the ball around. Otherwise, it's just keying in on Will Pauling, and then they'll just put 2 defenders on Will Pauling every single time it's a passing down, right? So you have to get Kekahuna involved early. You have to get Bryson Green involved early. And I think Vinny Anthony has shown that he will step up in big places, make plays, and be sure-handed with the football. And I'm going to continue to stand on Vinny Anthony Island out here. We're selling real estate on Vinny Anthony Island. Come get it before it fills up too much, because I still think that kid can be a star. But that maybe that's just one of my hotter takes for the 2024 season. Nonetheless, Burn. Let's
listen. It also rolling out allows Braden Locke to throw any type of pass. Crossing routes, usually guys get lost, which is nice. You can run the ball if you want. I don't want him to run, but a 5-yard run and him sliding is okay with me. Or you just throw the ball out of bounds, and it's just a play that didn't work, and you go back to the huddle. But without the rolling out's also another piece of an offense that gets defensives thinking about things, right? Like we have linemen just pin their ears. Look at 22. That guy's an All-American now. We made him an All-American. We don't do anything, and he just was coming to eat at Alabama. So, like, there are things we can do to help our guys get them in the game. We're not going to do all rollouts, but a couple here or there could help.
How about some pre-snap motion?
How about shifting and motioning for sure?
Yeah. You talk about getting them confused, making them show their cards. I mean, I think that I think that one of the things that made Braden stand out as a high school recruit was, his processing ability, right? And his ability to go through his reads quickly. Well, use that to his advantage. Like, clearly he can understand and dissect a defense. You would hope at this point, right? It's his third year in college. Like,
right.
Now,
let him have the answer before the ball snapped.
Yeah. So let him do it. Let him do that, and let him. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how you balance that with the power run game. Like, it's a lot to ask, right? I feel like you're asking a lot.
Matt Perkins, the way to balance it is getting more downs.
First downs. More opportunities.
You have more opportunities. You can do more, right? That's the whole thing. If you're doing 3 and outs and you have the ball for 20 minutes in the game, it's not going to work. You can't spread it out. You can't do these things.
Yeah.
A lot of 3 and outs. It's a killer for any team ever. We need 7-8 minute drives. We need 15 play drives.
I feel like they need them early. Like, I feel like they need first drive ideally, but first 2 drives, like a 75, 7 play, 75-yard drive or whatever, to build confidence, momentum, and at least establish something, right? Establish an identity. I guess, to me, that's still going to be the theme of the week. Maybe that's the theme of the rest of the season, Bernie, is establish an identity.
I completely agree. As we're watching, there's nothing to hang your hat on yet. I'm not trying to talk negative, but it's only been a year and 3 games. So we are in this space of we are building. Also with the NIL transfer, these are excuses, but they're true, is that it's not the same guys each year. I mean, it can be, but it usually isn't. It's not the same coaches each year. The landscape's crazy. So I would like, and I know Fickle can do this, is build he wants to be the most physical. I mean, it was all state. He holds every record in wrestling. He wants to be the most physical team out there. But you got to get the most physical dudes out there. That's why Barry liked me, I think, or one of the coaches, because I just love being violent in the game of football. That can happen still. Are we a run team? Are we going to short pass team? Like, we can build an identity. Whatever we build, I'm okay with it. But I want to build something that we are going to say, I'm going to hang my hat on. No matter who's in the game, we're doing it. No matter if Michigan changes their first starter to this guy, Alex Orji, to just run 500 times and pass 12 times to have 30 yards, 32 yards. If that's the case, stick to it. Michigan said, I'm literally doing this until the last second of the game. And I'm asking you, USC, stop it. And guess what? They didn't.
They didn't.
Can Michigan win the national championship with what they're doing? I don't think so. But can they compete? Totally. If you're going to beat number 11, it's pretty good. And I literally thought it was off a lot of mistakes. But at the end, USC tackles that guy wherever he was on the 40-yard line. That game's over. I mean, sadly, it's going to be a Hail Mary at some point. The game's over. So USC had that one. So you got to think, off of a couple plays, USC could be top 10 this week. They're not going to be lower than top 20. I mean, they shouldn't fall far. They just might switch with Michigan.
Yeah, they are. The poll this morning, they are at 13 now. And
that's out. The poll comes out that fast.
Yeah, it has to. And
I'm sorry. All right, my bad.
Yeah,
I thought it came out Monday afternoon or something.
Well, it's
let people go back to work.
They got the polls out for us. No, they are 16 in the coaches poll, 13 in the AP poll.
So your top 20. I mean, you listen, and also Big Ten is no joke. I mean, you watched Illinois, Nebraska. That was a good game. Illinois was real good. That's
Big Ten. The USC hasn't played it down to Big Ten football in their program's history. I still don't feel like it's going to be it's not quite Big Ten football yet, no matter what. It feels.
It'll take this year to feel normalized. I get it.
Exactly.
I totally get it. but it doesn't feel like it, but it is. But listen, after that, it's every week is not an easy week. I mean, if you look at all the scores, I mean, most of the teams are winning. Penn State killed Kent State. It was like 50-0.
50-60, but Kent State is also the worst team in FBS.
All I'm saying is they scored 56 points.
Yeah.
And held them to 0. It's still not easy to do that.
No, it's not easy to do, but
we're off on a tangent.
They were 49.5-point favorites, and they covered.
And they cut. I would have bet the under, so I can't do it. So
exactly.
I literally can't.
That is why they build gigantic buildings in the desert in Las Vegas.
Yes, with guys who are literally geniuses in creating this stuff.
I mean, they create the lines that the house always wins. Like at the end of the day, the house always wins still. But I mean, yes, there are people who will make some money off of it. And if you're someone who enjoys doing that, and you have, I don't know, say NIL deals, or you're a professional athlete, Chris Anasetti and his team will help set up a budget for you so you can do that. So you can budget it in. You can budget it in. It's, if you want to do that, that's how you want to spend your money and time to potentially get some more. That's freaking awesome. But just put it in the budget, baby.
I gamble with my heart. So I would take the Badgers over USC just straight up. And I might lose, but I'm gambling with my heart. Matt Perkins, is there a chance for the Badgers to come away with a win?
Yeah, there's always a chance. There's always a chance that USC's defense just completely implodes and is completely beat up after playing Michigan, and the Badgers are able to like you said, establish a run game that keeps the ball in the hands of Wisconsin, keeps it out of Miller Moss's hands, and doesn't let them get into a rhythm on offense.
And also you're coming off
to me, that is the only way that Wisconsin can win.
But you're coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
So
at least your new quarterback has 2 weeks to prepare.
2 weeks to prepare, a lot of film work. You also, hopefully, I don't know the schedule, but Barry always gave us time off and days off. And he gave us, I don't know why he did this, but it was great, the weekend off. And I mean, you literally went out Friday and Saturday night as hard as you possibly could because you knew that was the only time you could do it and not go to the stadium on Saturday and not be there and not have to deal with, like, you could almost take yourself out of being a college football player for a little bit of time. It was so amazing and so refreshing because the tension, and especially coming off a loss like Alabama, all the bad stuff, the SH, curse word. My little nephew's like, that's a strong word you shouldn't use. We didn't use that word. We used stupid, but he said, that's a very strong word. So, all that stuff you can kind of you try to forget and take a step away. I think a bye week before USC is huge for us. I think it says we're going, it's the constant drill. You have less than 5 days to prepare. Now you have 2 weeks to say we're going to USC. Let's forget that's non-conference plays over. It's over. We don't care about it. I mean, that's what I would do. I'd walk in and say, none of this matters. We're going to learn from the tape. But honestly, I don't care that we lost because it doesn't matter in the game right now. USC's in 2 weeks. So it's going to be huge for us. We're starting to build an identity in being physical on the front. I want to see you guys compete. O-line, you guys competed your ass off. I want to see it again. Backs, you got to step up. Braden Locke, dude, you've been here too long. You got to step up. Like, I would do this in a team meeting. Get people riled. I'd be like, CJ Williams, what's the place like? Right? Didn't he come from USC? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be like, dude, tell me what it's going to be like. Stand up here. Tell me. It's going to be crazy.
Get Alex Grinch, who was the defensive coordinator last year. I
like hearing from players, though. I'm like, dude, tell me what it's going to be like. What's the tunnel going to be like? What's the fans going to be like? It's going to be bananas? Are you going to be Ant? And then I would just be like, I don't know. If it was me or somebody else, we've gone into places. First off, it's so exciting to go to new places. Everything's new. I love it. Just to go in there, I'm very hopeful because all these things get my juices flowing, and I'm 41 and going to be sitting on a couch with 2 of my girls going bananas, not wanting to watch the game with no sound on, and my juices are flowing. So I could only think about how excited like a 20-year-old would be to go play on a stage like this in California. We didn't do a lot of it. It's so cool. I don't know. All these things make me amped, Matt Perkins.
Bernie, I'm trying to keep it together this week. It's going to be it's a big one coming off of the Alabama loss. Nonetheless, I'm a forever optimist, Bernie. Like, I can't help it. It's in my DNA.
Set the tone.
I am perpetually optimistic. So we will leave it there at that. But we appreciate everyone tuning in here for Monday Morning Fullback on Believe in Badgers, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. We'll be back at you again before the game with another interview, friend of the podcast coming on. Who knows? Stay tuned. It'll be exciting. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Until next time, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.